Hello, I'm Amelia and I'm from the Voluntary Norfolk Communities team, and I'm here today with Rachel and Lynn from Bridge into Communities. Lynn, would you like to start by just giving us a little bit of background to Bridge into Community, how it started and what it is?
Okay, so it started nearly 2 years ago because I, as a youth worker, noticed that some of the older young people that I was working with were struggling to find things to do and to socialise once they were no longer eligible to go to youth projects. And people were accessing lots of activities one day, and then the next day they weren't able to do that. And I personally knew some people, young people who were struggling. So myself and my friend Rachel thought about starting a social group for young adults. And that kind of snowballed into setting up a community group, and with all the policies and procedures that entails. And yeah, it's gone from strength to strength. It's quite solid now, and quite successful.
Okay, that's great. Rachel, when lockdown happened in March, what adaptations did you have to make to enable the group to keep running?
So we decided to use, I think we might have attempted using Skype for a short time, and we invited people to come along. And now we use Zoom on a regular basis. And so we hold a Zoom meeting and invite, well, all our members, but about 3 or maybe 4 of them use it on a regular basis. And one of our members has used it a couple of times, but it's enabled him to sort of be in touch with his family. So it's enabled some people. So we've stayed in touch that way online, and it's been successful. I think we've had to have a different format. We've decided that we'd have quizzes and then maybe a show and tell. So people bring things along, maybe music or interests. And sometimes we get people giving a talk about their interests. So it's become a bit of a different thing, a different format. But it's ended up being quite successful, I think. Yeah.
Because our usual format is that we meet in a cafe or another city centre location, and we have coffee, we go for a walk, we go to see an exhibition or take part in something that's happening in the city. And suddenly we can't do that. And a big part of the group is getting people together and to socialise, not only to make friends, but also to practice social skills. So really moving online has, obviously it's not, doesn't fulfill 100% of what we normally do, but it's been a great second best. And as Rachel said, there have been some really strong positives from it, such as the young man that Rachel mentioned. Because he got online with Zoom for us, he also started using the technology to contact his family, who he hadn't been in touch with for a long, long time. And yeah, there have been some really big positives.
And I think we feel like we might, use Zoom even if we went back, because people are spread wide over Norfolk, aren't they? And so they have to travel quite a long distance to get. So as a preference, we could always have this facility as well, couldn't we? So maybe meet in person, but have a few people meeting on Zoom if they can't make it in person due to travel or whatever reason.
One of our members has to get a bus and then a train just to get to our sessions. And having the Zoom option means that everyone or the maximum number of people will be able to take part as frequently as possible. Last week, Rachel and I went down to, where did we go, Rachel? Heatherset, Memorial Gardens in Heatherset, which is where one of our members lives. And we ran the session from there so that she could, socially distanced, have some contact with us. And we ran the group from a park near where she lives. Because what we're finding is that our members are nervous about coming back into, understandably, nervous about coming back into Norwich. So we're trying to take small steps to encourage them and support them to get back into face-to-face meetings. But we will continue to have the Zoom option available, as Rachel says, for those who can't come in.
I think we've already touched on this a bit, but I mean, if we do, when we do get back to normal, what are the things that you think you might leave behind from the sort of adapted way of doing things? And what are the things that you'd definitely keep? And you've already said that you'd keep Zoom meetings as part of it. Yeah, so which bits would you keep and which bits would you maybe sort of, you know, aren't ideal? And
there's nothing like, yeah, there's nothing like meeting in person. I just think, yeah, it's fine meeting on Zoom, but actually seeing a person, seeing their body language and you know, that helps so much. That's, yeah, there's nothing to replace that. So yeah,
we definitely are looking forward and working quite hard at getting face-to-face meetings going again, aren't we, Rachel? So we will definitely keep the Zoom element, and I think, but we will continue to work hard at getting the face-to-face going. But I think there are some things that have come out of the online platform, you know, format that that we will keep. We didn't realise how much everyone would love doing quizzes,
yeah.
and getting prizes and being the winner, and that's been a bit of a revelation. We were much more socially focused, I think, weren't we, Rach?
Yeah.
Beforehand, social skills and all that sort of thing, social contact. Whereas now I think maybe we might have a little bit more of a format to the meetings.
Yeah, that may be. And I also think, oh, I don't know what I was going to say, something really. Oh yeah, I just feel like I've really got to know people much more now. I know it's over Zoom, but in a way, you know, people showing their sharing their music, sharing their interests, and talking about themselves perhaps a bit more deeply. I feel like we've got to know them at a deeper level as well. And maybe that format helps a bit, having a bit more of a structure.
That's really interesting. That is interesting.
And you're right, Rachel. I hadn't really thought about it before. That's totally correct. And I think it's, you know, if you go for coffee, you don't actually have to say very much. But if you're sitting here looking at each other's, you know, video image online, somebody has to say something eventually. And because they choose a theme each week for the sessions, they always choose something which is relevant, obviously, to themselves. They've already got things to say about it, or things to show us, or memories, etc. So yeah, Rachel's absolutely right. We have got to know our members better through lockdown. Wow.
That's really interesting. Not something that you think about, because a lot of people see Zoom as being a sort of second best to social interaction, but that's a really interesting perspective. Is there anything? There's been fewer people that have continued.
Don't know if that's made a difference. So there's more time for each person, I guess. but also, I mean, in this session, I noticed Lynn asking, you know, a specific question and then asking a specific person, you know, and they may not answer much, but they do contribute something. Whereas if we were in a bigger group, you know, we might just pass over those people, and in a way, so that these people get more of a chance to speak. In a way, yeah.
Yeah, that's maybe interesting that some people prefer interacting online than they do in person.
Yeah.
Was there anything else that you'd like to say about bridging community? Perhaps bearing in mind that this film's going to go onto our website and there might be professionals or young people watching. So is there anything you'd like to say about how to join or how to get in touch?
Well, it's dead easy. There's no referral process. Everything's free. We provide, at face-to-face meetings, we provide coffee, snacks and, you know, entrance fees if we're doing something. You just turn up. You can get in touch with, at the moment, with myself. There is information about us on posters and flyers. I don't know whether to give out contact details here, Amelia.
We've got a Facebook, haven't we? We've got a Facebook page.
We've got Facebook and Instagram. People can contact us via those routes. Yeah, and it's a weekly social group. We're currently online, but we will be meeting face-to-face occasionally from now on. You can, the criteria is 18 to approximately 30-year-olds, so young adults, and it doesn't matter where you're from. We've got members in South Norfolk, we've got members on the coast, up on the North Norfolk, in North Norfolk, and from the city. So yeah, everyone is welcome.
And if we were doing it on Zoom, you'd send out as a link, wouldn't you, just to an email?
So I send out a link every week. It's the same link, but I do send out a reminder every week by email, and we have a WhatsApp group once you come along, and it's not compulsory, obviously. If you want to be a member of the WhatsApp group, that's a great way of staying in touch, and people remind me to send out the link, and we share information about what the theme is going to be and that sort of thing on the WhatsApp group. I
think they're quite supportive of one another on the WhatsApp group, aren't they, as well? Well, in general, it's quite a supportive group as well, isn't it?
Outside of the meetings, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, WhatsApp has been, I think everybody's using WhatsApp a lot more during lockdown, actually, aren't they? Yeah,
it's interesting, I think, that that all this technology has been around for so long. And as I was telling someone recently, you know, we've kind of ignored it because we didn't have to use it. And I think it's forced us to really consider what on earth we were, you know, how are we going to do this, and use the tools that have been available for ages. You know, I mean, I don't think I'd ever used Zoom before this. And now our group would not have survived, I don't think, if we had not been able to transfer to the online platform. What do you think, Rachel?
No, definitely not. No. No. Would have been too scary for people to meet in person, and I just think no.
Thank you. That's really, really insightful. And if anyone's watching and they can't find Bridge into Community on Facebook or Instagram, they can always get in touch with the Voluntary Norfolk Communities team, and we can put you in touch with Lynn. Thanks very much. This is one of the series of films we're doing where we're providing a platform for community groups and local charities to talk about how they've managed during the pandemic and how the adjustments they've made and the innovative ideas they've come up with. Thanks very much, Rachel and Lynn. And
thank you.
I'll end recording now.